Morning, guys. So it's that time of year that every person living abroad dreads. It is visa renewal time. So this is something that people living in Rwanda usually have to go through every year or every 2 years. It kind of varies, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But essentially speaking, my visa runs out in 2 weeks, so it's time for me to put in my application to get my next one. And it's terrifying. Anybody who lives abroad will know exactly how it feels because, you know, you've built your life here, you've got your home, you've got a house full of junk that you've collected over the years. You know, I've got my cats. This is the only home they've ever known. And, you know, every time that you come to renew your visa, you know, it's never a guarantee, no matter which country you're living in, it's never a guarantee. And so there's always a small part of your brain, even though you're fairly sure you're going to get your visa, there's always a little bit of your brain that goes, oh, but what if you don't? You know, how quickly can you pack up everything and sell everything in your house? You know, how quickly can you get the paperwork to get your cats back to the UK? You know, it's always that. So you're never entirely settled, you know, even though for the rest of the year you think of your adopted country as home, or I think of Rwanda as home, there's always a little part of me that knows that that home could disappear like that. And it's a little bit terrifying. There used to be years ago an option that I think if you've been here for something like 5 years, you could apply for permanent residency, which stopped you having to go back and apply every year. But when I got to the 5 years and I was just about to become eligible, they upped that to 10 years. And now it's 10 years plus you have to employ a lot of people. So they look at how many people you employ. Now, I'm a sole consultant. In the past, I have run contracts where I've employed other people, but you know, mostly it's just me taking contracts. So I don't meet the eligibility criteria really to have a permanent residency visa. So every 2 years or 1 year, I have to go and reapply. So I thought there's a lot of other people who have to do this, and I thought I'd just show you what that process is. So here we go. Okay, so currently everything in Rwanda happens online with something called Irembo. So you need to go to the Irembo site and you can switch to English or French up here in the top right. Now, it can be a bit confusing because you kind of think that you're applying for a visa renewal, but you're not. You're applying for a permit because your visa is what you think you have, but if you're working here, you're technically applying for a work permit. So you need to come to Immigration and Permits. Then you want to select Renew Permit, and it says it takes 7 days, and you apply. Now, before you can apply, you need to have the following things ready. A copy of your previous permit, so you need to scan your previous permit because this is a renewal, not a first-time application. A photo with a white background, so a passport photo basically. Recommendation letter from your employer, so if you're the CEO of your company, then you just need to write yourself a letter. And a copy of your passport's biodata page, so again you need to scan that or photograph that. Now, one thing that you have to be aware of is that JPEGs cannot be more than 200 kilobytes, and the other attachments cannot be more than 500 kilobytes. So just check the size of the files before you upload them. It seems like a slightly low and unnecessary restriction, but if you don't meet it, then you can't continue. So providing that you've got all of those, you can start filling out the form. So one thing that's a bit complicated in Rwanda is that your address can contain a lot of things that you might not know on a day-to-day basis. So your province is, you know, there are 5 provinces in Rwanda. There's north, south, east, west, and Kigali. Within Kigali, you've got 3 districts, so Gasabo, Kichikiru, and Nyarugenge, or Nyarugenge. Then you've got your sector, So Kachiru, Kimihurura, Kimirongo, Kinyinya, there's quite a few here. Remera. Most people recognize the sector that they're in, but then it gets a bit complicated. And a lot of people don't know which cell that they live in or which village they live in. So it can get quite complicated. If you've got a housing contract, it might be on that, but otherwise you might need to go and ask your neighbours what your full residential address is. And it's also quite complicated over here because it asks for your profession and your occupation. And to this day, I have no idea what the difference between profession and occupation is. I think you just go for whatever looks the closest. Again, it gets a bit complicated because here it's asking for your street number and your house number. And my house doesn't have a number, so I don't really know what to put. I feel like if I put no number, then I don't know. I feel like that raises red flags. So maybe I just put first gate on left. Now, you'd think I'd know how to do this off by heart, but you know, when things go well, you only have to do it once every 2 years, and it's amazing what you can forget in 2 years. So for me, I want a business entrepreneur's visa, which is what most people working here for themselves or self-employed or running a company need. And as a consultant, I need a Z2 visa, which is what I've usually always got in the past, apart from the 1 year that they randomly changed it to a G2 visa, which I think was maybe a typo. No explanation given, but after that it switched back to a Z2. So I will go for a Z2. Always have your passport to hand when you're doing this. And just here you can see that a Z2 visa is only 150,000 francs. So that's $150. And if it goes well, you get a 2-year working visa. And if it doesn't, you get a 1 year. And if it goes really badly, you probably get deported. So we'll see what I get. But regardless of whether they give you 1 year, 2 year or nothing, you don't get any refund on the $150. It all costs the same. Now this is quite difficult because my scanner stopped working when I updated to the latest version of Windows. So yeah, I took a photograph of my last one and I've pasted that into a Word document. And now I'm going to save it as a PDF. Okay, so that came out as 220 kilobytes, so that's within the range, so that's fine. Okay, so I'm just using a selfie stick against a white wall to take my photograph for my visa. So I quite like being able to do this at home. You can kind of take as many as you like and just pick one. Oh, the photo's too big. Oh, this is quite good. So Pixlr actually tells you when you choose low, medium or high resolution, what size it's going to come out at. So that's really, really helpful. So I'll put the link to Pixlr below and you can use that to decide what resolution your picture should be. So I found the old copy of my passport, but it's 655 kilobytes and it has to be 5 flipping hundreds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on it, copy that again into Word, and again I'm going to save that as a PDF and see if it reduces to the right size. 171! Yay! I really feel bad for anybody who's not sort of au fait with computers in this way, because it must be an absolute nightmare to try to reduce your pictures and documents down to that amount. Oh, so there's another thing here. So yeah, that's a kind of a crazy thing, is if you've got a business in Rwanda, you have to pay for something called a patent, which is your trading license. So every year I pay for it. It's only about 40,000 for a small business like mine. But I never actually go and pick it up because, you know, I don't have a public office. There's no reason for me to display it anywhere. So I always pay for it, but I never pick it up. And it always asks in your visa renewal for the copy of the trading license. So I tend to just attach a receipt and hope for the best. I don't think you can get it online. You actually have to tramp down to the local office and stand in line and wait to pick it up. And it should be like much easier to get a copy of it. So this is the acknowledgement from RRA that I have paid my patent. And then finally, my application letter. So in your application letter, it's a good idea to do it on company headed paper. make it look nice and official, use formal language. It's a good idea just to start by saying, you know, I am the CEO of this company, I have been in the country since whenever, and then underneath you want to list the contracts that you've currently got or who you've been working with in maybe the past few months. And just basically say, I'd like another visa, please, and sign off. Okay, so I think I've attached everything. I think I've answered everything. Let's try next. Okay, I'm clicking next and nothing's happening. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, so something's wrong with the photo. The uploaded photo is not zoomed to the correct ratio. Please choose a photo zoom to the... But what is the correct ratio? It hasn't told me. That would have been really helpful if they'd actually put that information in here. Oh, article. Okay, let's have a look at that. Well, this doesn't help me at all. Please check this article on our knowledge base for more... What article? It doesn't lead to an article, it just leads to their homepage. There's like no information there at all. Well, that doesn't help anybody do anything, does it? So, okay. This is often the problem with online systems. It's like somebody creates it and goes, there you go, I've created it, therefore it must work. And there's just no testing implemented. Like, nobody tests it from a user's perspective. The uploaded photo is not zoomed to the correct ratio. But what is the correct ratio? Is there an app online that does this? Turn my photo into a passport photo. Let's see if there's something that does this online. Okay. There's almost always an app for everything online. Let's see if it's going to try and charge me though. Why don't I... just screenshot it? There we go. Yes, okay. Wow, that took a minute, didn't it? That really took a minute. Oh my goodness me. I'm so glad that I know how to use things like Photoshop. Okay, so next. So it gives you your summary details. So you just need to check that everything's right. Double check your passport number. Where would you like us to send the notification about your application? I would like it by email, actually, just in case I accidentally lose my phone between now and then. By checking this box, I certify that all information is true. It is true. I do want a visa. Okay, so once you've checked all of your details, you've told them how you want your notification, you've checked the box and you submit it. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so your request to renew your permit was successful. Here are the future steps. Use your bill ID to pay for your services using any of the methods provided in the payment options. 150,000 francs, which is about $150. So pay. Okay, so I'm going to use a card. I'm going to use my work card because this is technically a work expense to keep me in the country. Yay! I've successfully paid. So here it says, upon payment, you will receive a notification confirming your payment. Your application will be routed to DGIE to be processed. Department of Immigration and Emigration will inform you when you should go for your permit pickup. All right, guys. Well, that was weirdly straightforward. Irembo have sent me an email already, successful payment, and it's also got my application number on there as well. All right. I mean, I have to say, that was pretty straightforward, especially when you know what it used to be like. So when I first returned to Rwanda, you still had this little shack behind immigration and you had to go down there with all of your documents, and there was a guy with a photocopier and you had to pay them to do all this photocopying, and then you had to take it to an office, and I think they sent you off to the bank with a payment code, and you had to go to a bank and you had to make a payment code, then you had to go back to the office and then you had to attach your payment code. Oh my goodness, it went on. You could spend an entire day putting in for your visa renewal. So that took me all of about 10 minutes. If I'd already got all of my documents ready, if I hadn't had to go off and scramble to get everything together, that is a significant improvement. So we'll wait and see what happens now. Generally speaking, what usually happens is immigration will contact you and ask you to send your contracts. So they want to look at the contracts that you say that you've got. And all being well with that, then they issue the visa. So let's just wait and see what happens. But that was not too bad.